Good evening. This is Alan at Discover Games once again, and I got Aaron. Aaron. We
Irvin.
never met.
We've never met.
We're talking here before, and literally we've been talking for about 5 minutes, and first time we met. So,
yeah.
Tell me about yourself.
Hi, I'm Irvin Armitage. I'm a member of the Basement Collective. We call it a gaming. We usually run a YouTube channel. We used to do this and that. Now that's what people know us by. I'm a big tabletop gamer, both in stature and though I play the games. Tabletop gaming has been a thing for me for almost 7 or 8 years now. Started in the 40K scene, but now actually 40K is on the back burner, and I'm into the smaller games, primarily what we're talking about, Freeblades today. That's a bit about me, tabletop gaming. Right now I'm big into Freeblades, and also we're doing some Magic the Gathering on the side. But other than that, I'm always open to try new games, and I'm actually we're here today to talk to you about Freeblades and the wonderful company that DGS is.
You bet. I've been interviewing some. I call you guys the veterans. I'm the rookie, trying to get some of your input, some of your insight to. I think we're finding a really good game. Actually, there's two games going on right now in my shop.
Nice.
Back in the other room. So I put myself in the corner. They may come in here and play behind me too. So, but that's a good thing right now, having people come in and play.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Still doing limited, but we are able to allow some play in the store. So yeah, hopefully here at the end of the month we'll be getting closer and closer.
Yeah. Here in Ontario, our game store owner, our local game store, the Games Nook, he's allowing people to allow one game table basically to go on in the store. The store is a long store, but he wants one person because there's a product all along the sides of the tables. There's one table at the back where there's no product around, so you can pre-book a table there. That store right now, it carries Freeblades. It placed an original order and then it did a restock, but we haven't been able to. We wanted to start growing the community with the global campaign that Matt Gooch put on, but unfortunately COVID kind of put up plans on that. So our goal is to hopefully, after everything's back to normal, when it's months from now most likely, we'll be able to get the Freeblade scene going here. I know me and my brother, and we got a few buddies down here that played. We've got about 6 or 7 of us down here playing right now, but would love to reach to a larger community to introduce them to such a great game that Freeblades is.
Cool. And honestly, that's one reason I wanted to bring you on. You're up in Canada, so honestly, a little different view of the world, especially down here in the South, where you guys would probably be dying down here. Is like almost 90 degrees with about 80% humidity. So,
well, the weather up here is quite interesting. So if we're looking back in May, about the second week in May, we got a foot and a half of snow. And then literally 2 weeks later, it was, like you said, 95, 100 degrees with the wind, with the heat. So it's like day and night sometimes around here. But today we're sitting in a cool, I don't know, it's 25 Celsius for Americans. Yeah, so it's not bad. I mean, it's getting summer temperatures. But for the whole summer, we go from in between like 18 to 25 is good. And I've never been below Chicago in the States. So I don't know what true heat is. Yes, I guess.
No, but that's okay. So is there a pretty good following in Canada in general? And of course, I say Canada, in your area.
Well, I'm in northern Ontario, so I'm about, for the people, 4 hours northwest of, 4 hours northwest of Toronto. So I'm pretty north. But so Freeblades wasn't a thing in Canada until about 3 years ago. Me and my brother were at Adepticon for the first time we've been to Adepticon. This would have been our 4th year in a row, but unfortunately COVID got that. But it's good. It's expected. It's a good thing. But we picked up Freeblades, there. And then we actually didn't do much with it until the next Adepticon. And we didn't even play a full game of Freeblades until the night before the tournament at Adepticon the second year. Now we got our models, and we're not much painters. My brother is becoming more of a painter now. I try to paint sometimes, but we got out the Army's commission, so we're ready to go. So we sent a message the next year at Adepticon, I guess 3 years ago now. We said, hey, we want to play in the tournament, but we've actually never played a game. We looked at the rules a few times. Me, my buddy, my identical twin brother, and our buddy Paul went up to. We all bought it, and then our first time we played it was 3 years ago, or 2 years ago. I don't know. But at this next Adepticon after we bought the models. Now we didn't know much about the game. We weren't that big into it. It was a fun game with a different. We like the different dice mechanics compared to having just a D6 mechanic, and where if you roll a 6 stays a 6, and Freeblades that blows everything out of the water. Anything can happen. We like that it was a smaller skirmish game compared to playing with hundreds of models, and the fact that everybody was so friendly, and it's a very evil level playing field. There's no faction that's super powerful compared to others. It really comes down to a lot of player skill when we're using the faction. Because if you look at the tournament winnings and just there's a bunch of general tournaments going on, it's always a different faction. It's always never the same faction. So the game's super balanced in regards to that. So that's just some aspects that got us into the game. So that started. We came back from Adepticon with a new umph to wanting to get it started. And then shortly after that, because a few things happened, we were actually one of the first questers of the game. Like questers is like the representative of a player for the game in an area. So we were playing here, but then we came back and there was really just us three. We got another buddy into it. And then what happened was our good friends of us, they run a YouTube channel called Canhammer. Now Canhammer is the biggest wargaming thing in Canada. And their main bread and butter is 40K, like most people when it comes to wargaming, things like that, 40K. But there's a member of their crew, Andrew, and he's big into the small games. So he was big into Batman, big into other things like that. But he one day posted in the Freeblades player group on Facebook as painted armies. I'm like, you got models? And so that happened. So he started a community up in Ottawa. And now that community grew quite large. And then he's good buddies with people that are like a few hours east of Petawawa, Blind River area. So we got about 3 gaming hubs right now. Andrew's a quester in Ottawa, and we got a gaming hub in Petawawa. So we're all within 6 hours of each other. So we all we used to try to get monthly or semi-monthly tournaments in before COVID, but it actually blew up. There's a store up here in the north, Red Dragon, and it's been great for us because he stocks the whole line, every single model he stocks. So even though shipping and the prices from DGS aren't bad, it's just a wait time. So sure. We're growing quite large in Canada to the point that this year was going to be the first ever year where we did in the grand tournament or the large tournament. It's called the Iskaris Cup or whatever. It was basically we're going to see which country placed highest in the rankings. Now,
that's cool.
We're looking at not like who, if Canada plays first, it's going to be like take everybody's score and do an average, because there is still more Americans would be at like Adepticon than Canadians, but we are growing pretty fast. If we're attracting new people, and now just in my community, we're up to 6 or 7 players now that bought the army and playing. So it's quite growing in Canada, and we're enjoying it up here.
Cool. Well, and I would say that you were talking about the skirmish, and I've mentioned it before. Is older I get, the fewer models I like to have on the table, for multiple reasons. A lot of it is, the time. I said I'm not a big painter either. I like to paint, I just don't have the time. Mm-hmm. And then there is the cost. You can get in for Freeblades $10 for a living rule book, which you never have to buy another one again.
Oh yeah,
you're looking at the boxes here, roughly about 45. They're very playable. Then you can build up from there. So you're looking for $100, and you've got a very playable faction. And
exactly. And so a starter box is 150 points. Most come with 5 models. I'm pretty sure. 5 models,
6, depending on that.
Yeah, 5 or 6. I think it's 6 mostly. There are a few maybe that have 5. Don't quote me wrong. I'm not a representative of the company. I just enjoy the game. But it's 150 gold points is what it is. And tournaments, most tournaments are played at the 250 point. So just buying a starter box, you're more than halfway there. And like you said, it's $44 in US. Canada is a bit more expensive because it's like $1 million US to Canadian dollar right now. But But yeah, so it's a very low entry to get into game. Now, it's easy to pick up. It's easy to learn the basics of the game. It's a bit more difficult to become mastered and things like that. Because a lot of people who are used to Games Workshop games, so you go, I go, you do everything, I do everything. It's turn based. So I do my movement phase, you do your movement phase. I do my casting becomes the first thing. It goes casting, movement. Shooting's done simultaneously. So your archers aren't going to get picked off before they get to fire. Then there's combat and things like that. So it's a different type of game that just completely different mechanics than any game I tried, and I quite enjoyed it.
Well, I'll back up. You mentioned that you played your first tournament and you'd only played one game before you.
Oh yeah.
How'd that go? How'd that come out?
Well, to tell you the truth, I'm still not much better than I was back then. I know the rules a bit better. I've run tournaments. I've run multiple tournaments now as a tournament organizer. It doesn't mean I know how to play the game very well, but I get the basics of it. But no, you know what? We played one game overnight with Brian. He's been with he's in the Kansas City area. He's been playing Freeblades a long time. A great guy. He showed me the game, and actually, no, I think I played a second game that night, or maybe that was the next year. A second game that night against Geoff, and again, he's another quester in the Michigan area. But no, so I learned the basics of the game. I learned some things, and I was super pumped to start the next day. We stayed up pretty late playing that. The next day we got in there. The thing about Freeblades is the thing that makes Freeblades the greatest thing, and it's not exaggerating. It's the owners of the company. It's a very small company, number one. They've been growing quite a lot, which is good because they've been growing in player numbers, which allowed the company to expand. But from the top down, they focus on the players. That's their main focus. They're a gaming company. One of their top goals, obviously, is to make money. But as a gaming company, most gaming companies know, to make money, you have to have players. And if you're not focusing on the players, then you're not being able to grow the company. And that's what DGS's main goal, one of the main goals, is to focus on the players. And if you have that attitude from up top, it bleeds down to the regular gamers, right? So I went into a tournament not knowing the game, but it's the biggest tournament that they hold every year at Adepticon, and every one of my opponents was happy to say, hey, man, you should do this. Hey, man, you should do that. If you have a rule, you don't want to do that because this is going to happen with my models. So everybody, it's a friendly atmosphere. I've never met a game of a group of gamers that were so welcoming to everybody. I went one of my first tournaments. I show up and I think there was 3 or 4 female playing at the tournament, at the grand tournament, out of 24 people. It's just it's something you don't see when you think the player population. It was definitely a nice cold glass of water compared to coming in from a 40K background at the time of 7th edition and 6th edition, where everything was just super crazy and cutthroat. It's just everybody's relaxed. They're there to win, of course, because it's a tournament, but at the same time, they don't want you to have a bad time and they want to make sure everything's going good. So going from one game into the tournament, I enjoyed it and it hooked me. Saying that, we have a local player right now. Well, not local to me. He lives in the Ottawa area, about an hour away from Ottawa. He played last year at Capital City Bloodbath, which is our big gaming convention in Canada. And he played a game before the tournament, went in there and won the tournament. So it's just it's a really great game, really great group of guys. The company's amazing, and I'm just so happy to be involved in the community.
Cool. So and sounds great. And I agree with everything you say 100%. We've actually got a couple wives that's got involved that would probably never play miniature games. They play board games and they're big gamers. Mm-hmm. But they're playing against their husband and their kids. It's awesome to see.
Exactly.
So what's your favorite faction?
So I started off with the Grular Invaders, which are like the Mongolian. Nice. So the first time we went up to Adepticon, we went to all the booths because that's what you do at Adepticon. And we didn't want to spend too much money, but that also didn't happen too well. But we're going around to the booth, and we wanted to pick up a new game. So we tried a few games, and we didn't pick anything up. And then we tried a bunch of different games, and we went to different booths, and we managed to go back to Freeblades. And it's just that we did Julie there, and she's been with the company since the beginning with John. She's at every con they're at, she's doing it. She has a little circle table.
Yep, I did the same demo. I did. What guy hooked me up?
She's so good at running that demo. And like you played, I forget what she does I think it's Blackthorn or Black Rose and something else. But she just hooks you into it, and then you try the demo, and you basically go through all the phases of the turn and get the basics of the game down. So we tried that. We tried a bunch of other games. We went back and said we really like that game. So we go up to John, and John goes, and we say, we're from the Basement Collective, and this is at the time we were doing YouTube videos, and he said, we're looking for a new game to try to maybe get on our channel. And John's like, oh, of course. And so John's like, first of all, here, he just gave us a rule book at the time when they're doing printed rule books. But as Alan said, they don't do printed rule books for one reason, for multiple reasons. But the first reason is you don't have to buy a new rule book every edition comes out. You pay $10 once for a living rule book, and it's a PDF that every time they release a new edition or an update, they just update your account. You can download the new one. It's also hyperlinked, so if you want to click on a skill here,
and that's awesome, man.
It's good. One good thing about that is if you want to try Freeblades and you want to interested, go to the Freeblades player group on Facebook and see if there's any questers in the area. Us questers, we actually have a code that if you do a demo with a quester, we'll give you a code where you can get the rulebook for free.
Yep.
So make sure you check if you want to try this game out like that. But back to one of my favorite factions. So we go to the booth and we say, we're really interested in this game. John said, here, take this rulebook. And I said, that's amazing. You don't have to do that. He said, no, take it and read through it. Let me know what you like. And I said, and I said, well, we do want to get an army. And John knows us, and we actually have models coming up, and my brother and I, we like to wheel and deal. It's just our nature. My brother more so than me. But we tried to get a discount saying, oh, we'll feature you on the channel, as most YouTube channels do, smaller channels. But I think we ended up just paying full price, and we said, well, what factions do we choose? And my brother's looking through the case, and there's 4 or 5 or 6 more factions now than there was back then. He's looking through the case, and Kevin goes, is that a dinosaur? John goes, yeah. And Kevin goes, we're like, well, what faction should I choose? And so Kevin goes, I want those dinosaurs. They just look like Romans riding dinosaurs, the Trashroad Empire. But so he chose those, and I'm like, well, I wanted the dinosaurs. But he got it to me first. So I chose Grular Invaders. Grular Invaders are basically Mongolian themed. It's the only army in the game right now where you can do a fully mounted army. And the cool thing that sucked me into it was they also ally with another faction, the demons. Now, when I say demons, we're not talking about hell or bad demons. We're talking about just like beings from a different world. Again, I'm not a fluff guy, so I can't explain the fluff very well. But that's what got me into it. So now I have the full faction of demons, and I have a full faction of Grular to go with it. But now I also, of course, with any war game, especially when the armies are so small and the models are inexpensive, it's easy just to go huge. So now I expanded to as well Falcaran and Shakram. But Grular is my original faction, and I enjoy them a lot.
Cool. Yeah, I've got quite a few demons already, and I really enjoy playing them. One thing, talking about the factions and stuff, people have asked me, what faction should I get? I said, you always want to get something that looks cool.
Yep.
But with Freeblades, you really need to, what is your play style?
Exactly.
Because, like the demons, you get 1 or 2 big beat sticks, and you get a bunch of minions. It's like you would think of, you have the big powerful demon, and he sends his minions out.
Exactly.
And, like you said, Gugar, they're all mounted, move very fast, very swift, can get cover across the board. You got the Night Dwarves, which Adam, the reason I bring those up, he tried them at first to be beat sticks. They didn't match his style.
Mm-hmm.
So once again, he kind of went a different route, and he's doing them shooters. He's shooting a lot.
Yeah.
So even within the factions, you can kind of focus how you want to play them.
Oh, exactly.
And he's done well now with shooting, so which was very interesting. He kind of had to change his mentality, but what was happening, his initial list didn't meet his play style, so he wasn't successful. So we got to talking to him, and how would you like to play? How do you think they should play? And he said this. He said, okay, let's look at the list. And he actually was, I want to play different factions. He said, no, you like the models, you like the background. let's see what we can do to shape that list for you. And now he's very happy. He said, like you said, there's not that big a model count, but you can still, because of that, 1 or 2 models can make a big difference in how your list plays.
If you're not happy with your list, you can drop 1 or 2 models, and there you go. Or a lot of people sometimes like to get in Freeblades is you're allowed to have just basic 250 points. You count a leader, which is the general of the army, a caster, and then 4 heroes, and then that leaves you up to, you can have an 18 model max army. So this game, Freeblades itself, is never going to get to a game where you're playing 100 models on the table. The company right now is working on a free captains, which is the army type version of the game. But Freeblades itself will always stay a skirmish game. So a lot of people like to fill their max hero slots quickly. So get those 4 heroes and get the leader and the caster. Now what that does is it leaves no space for followers a lot of the time. And followers are a big thing in the game because this game, one of the big thing about the game is there's a bunch of different objectives to win a game. So the game itself, the core of the game is each mission has a main objective, and there's always a secondary objective. And a lot of people play games with a mechanic like this, is breaking your army, where if your opponent removes more than half of the wounds off the table and models, that turn the game's over. But also there's a primary objective in the game, and that is to either get objectives off the table, hold objectives, do this, do that, kill enemies that spawn. There's a bunch of different things. So you have to make sure that in a tournament setting, your army is versatile to play and everything. So you have to make sure it's everything. So maybe you're not making your list. Maybe take out the 1 hero that's not performing the best for you and add in 3 followers or 2 followers for them. And it just, because it's a small, like Alan said, because it's a small amount of models, it's not hard to change your list compared to a big game where you're using thousands of dollars of models and you want to change your army. Well, if you take 1 hero, you have to take 30 follower or 30 smaller dudes out. It's a lot easier to adjust them, and you eventually get your play style. And the bonus, you're paying in the States $8-9 a model or $8 a model. So it's not that much of a loss. And then you just got cool models on your shelf.
Well, and you mentioned casters. Changing out your caster can a huge difference in the play style of a faction. Going from a very aggressive caster, or you can take one that's very defensive that can heal, and how they play, that can be a big change on how you play. So, where I said, you're talking about tournaments more. That's something I haven't really talked to with people much about. We get into the campaign because I think that's where it really shines. I've not played at a tournament, of course, and I want to. But what have you seen in tournaments? You talked about very balanced, different every tournament, different faction wins.
Yep.
You mentioned new players showing up, winning tournaments. What do you think some highlights of the game? What makes it shine in a tournament format?
So in a tournament format, Freeblades is quite interesting. Again, because number one, the friendly atmosphere. Everybody's there to win, but also to make sure everybody else has a good time. So the atmosphere on top sets the mood of the tournament. Now, Freeblades itself can also be a competitive game. You got the people who are good at the game, and they exceed at playing what armies they want to play with. So the tournament itself, there's right now in the rulebook, there's 20 or 30 missions. They just put a new one out. Now, not all of these missions are going to be made for tournament games. It's just the way it works. Like Alan said, campaigning, it has a big system where you start with your free bin of 150 models, and by the end, you're playing 500 points of beat sticks against each other. It's very much an RPG feel. They also have an RPG for the game that ties directly into the game. But for campaigns, it's great. I myself, I'm a tournament player, and I didn't try a campaign until the most recent global campaign. But there's a large amount of missions. So the tournament organizer, either the Quester or will tell the missions ahead of time, so you're able to prepare sometimes, or they'll say this. But you can expect certain missions and certain missions not. It's just the way it works. But all missions are going to be able to be played in a tournament. It requires different things. If you're fighting monsters, the tournament organizer has to have enough of those creatures there to fight. But it's a balanced game where you're never just sitting around watching your opponent play an hour turn and say, oh, look at that shooting phase, all my stuff died and I got nothing left. You're immersed in the game. So your opponent does his movement, you do your movement. So you always have a way to react to an opponent. You don't have to wait for a full hour for your opponent to be done his turn to do something. So it gets you really thinking. Movement's very huge in the game, as most games are, but also you don't have one phase that overshines all the other phases, right? So you don't have a shooting phase that's more important than a close combat phase, where in the shooting phase, if your opponent gets a good shooting phase, it's just, in other games, it's just, it's over. The game is determined on turn one shooting phase. It doesn't work like that in Freeblades. It's always back and forth. So it's great in a tournament setting.
Well, and just having played the games, you're never out of it. I played Troy here a week or so ago. I had him, forget the scenario. We had to play to 9 points. I had 8.
Oh, yeah.
And I had
domination this area.
Domination. And I had put down a couple of his models. And it was just like, okay, turn 4. This is it. Mm-hmm. I go up. He's got his caster. He's doing it, throwing everything out there. Caster right on the middle of the board, the middle objective. I got my leader. Walk up with a 1.
Yeah.
Like, okay, no problem. No. He spikes, which is rolling the max exploding type dice with his caster on me. I'm saying, no problem. He spikes it again.
Yeah.
And ends up, I do no life points to him. He does 2. Okay, not a problem. I still got this, right? Morale check. Another 1.
Yeah.
It runs off the board. Luckily, he couldn't catch him, but that right there, it just turned, and he ended up winning the game.
Exactly. Yeah,
it was crazy.
With the exploding dice and things like that, so basically, just for those who don't know what an exploding dice mechanic is, Freeblades is played all the way from a D4 all the way up to a D30, and it has interesting ones like D22s, D24s, D28s. Those higher number dice you're not going to use. The basic game's played on a D4 to a D14. Most of the time, maximum's 14. You may see a 16 depending on skill in that. But if you roll a 6 on a D6, you get to roll it again. So you can end up getting 12, 18, and you keep rolling until you don't explode anymore. So it's never the point where, well, I got 1 model versus these 2 models, I can't get out of it. Well, if they don't roll good, hit you, you can roll and get yourself some amazing things. So you're never down and out. There's always hope there. So that's why when...
Yeah, I love taking my 5 gold scrots and taking someone out. I mean,
it's the worst.
It's awesome.
In Chakram, I play Headhunters and what's the Shellbacks, and there are 3 or 4 wound heroes. And when you're playing a 250 gold point game, you've got maybe 12 models. So your break point's going to be somewhere around 10 to 8 to 15, depending on what models you have and wounds like that. So when you lose 4 wounds out of 10 for a break point, that's a big thing. But what happens is you have that Scrot, you said, the Shellback can roll like garbage. The Scrot will get 1 wound in, the Shellback can fail his morale, and then there you go.
Yeah.
So it's you're never down and out in Freeblades. It's another good aspect of the game. Other games you could play a game and you could see what happens, and there's literally no way for you to come back. Even if your dice roll perfectly, there's just not a chance of you winning. Freeblades, you always have that small chance, and actually not a small chance, sometimes it's a good chance that you're going to roll your crit, you're going to roll your hit, you're going to spike your parry against opponent's attack, get a free repost on them. It's an amazing game.
And that's what we've learned, play it out. We've had several people come out, there's no way I'm going to win this and stuff. No, play it out. And I go back to the campaign. That's very important in campaign, because what happens during that game, even if it's just to get more experience or do something else, don't give up, because...
Oh, exactly. I say that. I did play a first camp. We're doing an online campaign right now. Our last tournament actually was online. We had about 16 people from Canada and the US doing online tournaments of tabletop strategy. So if you guys want to try the game and you can't get out to a game store right now, let us know. If you have tabletop strategy, you can try the game out. We'll be more than happy to help you. Go to the Freeblades player group on Facebook. But I was playing a campaign game last night against Chris Jackson, and he's the undisputed best player at the game when you look at tournament winnings. One cool thing about Freeblades is if there's a sanctioned tournament, and when I say sanctioned tournament, there's a Quester running it or a game store running it that's official, has more than 8 players. They have coins, legit physical coins that look super dope. I'd show you one, but I'm not that good to have one. But it's a physical coin with it's a metal coin, and it has a little gem in the middle. And if you win a tournament, you get one. And what's cool about these coins is at any other tournament, again, official tournament you play in with more than 8 people, you can use this coin to go, which is basically just a free roll through the game. And there's somebody at the tournament who has the most amount of coins out of all the coins there. They get 2 free rolls. And that you may think that's a big advantage or a big disadvantage, but in a game like this, there's always ways you're going to get free rerolls, and things can happen out of the blue. But it's just a way of awarding. But I played Chris last night, and he's legit the best player according to the amount of coins he has. I think he's up to 5 because he just won the most tournament. We were playing in our campaign, and it went really well at first. We killed all the NPCs because this is a mission with NPCs, and we were mounted models. So mounted models makes it a bit difficult to carry objectives, like when you need to carry items, because they're on a horse. It makes sense, right? So we killed the first wave of followers, and then we got into combat. And I thought, oh, I'm gonna get him here. I'm gonna position this guy, put him on a delay, which means he moves after my opponent, and then I'll get him. But then he piled onto my leader. I'm like, that's fine. Then what happened was, well, the stinking leader, he had an ability on him that he couldn't get charged. So he's the one that charged, and when you charge, you get a bonus. And I said, I got this. And then he piled on his leader, and then I charged his leader, and then he piled on his hero and a follower. And the dice did not work in my favor. And then at that point, he killed my leader. I'm like, it's fine. I still got enough models left. It's only 3 of my 5 breakpoint. Well, then my caster, who's on a horse, fails his morale test. Books it off the table. Not off the table, not off the table, but like almost off the table. And then we go to initiative, and he wins the initiative roll, which means he just charged my caster, forced my panic, and my caster's off the table. And then I also killed a few of his models in this. But then at that point, I had 1 hero left and a follower left, and and he also killed a second hero of mine. So I just had to call when you run a campaign, you can just, there's my brother. But when you run a campaign, you can just say, basically, you don't want your models to die.
Yeah, you don't want it to die.
You know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And then you could just call an honorable withdrawal, which basically the game ends there. Your opponent gets max points they could, but you don't lose models.
You don't die.
I did withdraw.
Yeah.
But most games, it's always important to play, especially in a tournament setting. We're talking about not campaign, but tournament setting. 100% play your games to finale. Never concede early because you think it's not going to happen, because in Freeblades, there's always a chance that something crazy will happen. Well,
anything else? I don't want to keep you too long.
No problem. I just wanted to give a shout out, and for those of you guys when I say it's the best gaming community you'll ever meet or you ever be a part of, I'm not joking. And just to emphasize this, I was a tournament organizer for an online tournament recently. We did a 3-round Swiss pairing tournament over 3 weeks. You had a week to play your opponent, and people paid 20 Canadian, so like 3 American, to enter the tournament so we can have a prize pool. It was sponsored by Red Dragon up in Northern Ontario here. So we gave him all the money, and then he added 20% to the pot, and that was our prize pool. So first and second place got the prizes, and we did raffles for the remainder prizes. So we gave out, I think, like 7 prizes. Not a crazy amount of money, but the first place was X amount of dollars, and it was good. Everybody was happy. We just wanted to play Freeblades during the situation. So at the end of the tournament, one of the players who won a prize donated his prize money, and some of them donated the prize money, and they said, well, I don't need more models right now. But what I understand right now is the COVID situation has people affected financially, or maybe some people are just down in the dumps, and there are social people stuck inside. So these people didn't want more models. What they wanted to do with the prizes and the prize money is just donate it to somebody who could use it right now, who can use a little bit of Freeblades goodness in their lives. So what happened is, I said, that's amazing. I thanked the guys who donated the money, and I said, what I'll do is I'll start a raffle on the Freeblades player group. And the Freeblades player group, I'll make a disclaimer that this is for people who have been either affected by COVID and a bit down financially, not able to get the models that they want, or just in general, if you're not in a situation where you can get the things you want, here's a little raffle here. So it started off with two $45 Canadian, about 35 American prizes from for the community to get in if you would like to enter. We didn't have any restrictions on who can enter. You need to prove it, just an honor system. So I put that up in about 5 minutes later. Not even 2 minutes later, we had a gaming convention. I think it's Coastal Con. They messaged me and said, "Hey man, I want to add 100 US to the pot." I said, "That's amazing. Not needed, but thank you very much." So now we had 4 $45 prizes, free shipping anywhere to anybody who entered the raffles. And then eventually John responded and he put 2 more $45 in. So we had 6. And then we had another community member and Alan himself throwing a prizes. So at the end of this, we were given 12 prizes, at least 45 Canadian dollars value away to just members of the community who weren't able to get what they wanted right now, which is amazing. But on top of that, we had the great painters, the studio painter for DGS, Aaron, and then a good buddy of mine, Jason from Splinter Brush Studio and GF. They also all wanted to donate prizes. And so I thought, well, the people who are financially hurt right now or not able to get the models for whatever reason it is, they already have a raffle for 11 prizes. Why not open up? Everybody wants a painted dragon, the largest model that DGS has, painted by the studio painter, or a painted snake or spider by these amazing painters. So we opened it up to everybody. So by the end of it, we had 15 prizes off of 1 generous or 2 generous players' entries. We had 15 prizes to give away to people. So I just finished getting through that. We managed to get 15 people some DGS goodness during the situation. That was all from the generosity of the community. And again, it started with 1 or 2 people donating the prize support because they wanted to help people out. It just shows how amazing the community is. And I really encourage you guys to go to the Freeblades player group, check it out, see if there's a store in the area that has the game or a quest in the area, and just try it out and join this amazing community.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. That's outstanding. And I want to say thank you for your effort, because once again, it took someone like you yourself to actually get that together, get it organized, and make it actually happen. We all sit around talking about good things we want to do, but you actually did something about it. So kudos to you. That's outstanding.
It was my pleasure. It's great.
And honestly, that's one I was going to bring that. That's one reason I wanted you to have you on today. Say thank you, and that was outstanding what you did, and maybe who knows what I think. And I say we as community can build upon that down the road. And I missed out because I was going to Adepticon, Gen Con, and hopefully I was going to get to meet all you guys, but wasn't able to. So doing it via Zoom right now.
That's not bad.
And I really have enjoyed all these discussions with everybody, and I will continue them here throughout the summer. So,
well, that's great. I've watched the ones you put out so far, and it's great to.
Well, give me feedback for anything you want to hear, or anybody you want me to talk to, or because not just John and those guys. I know. I'm the new guy. I don't know you guys. If there's anybody that has an interesting story, anybody that's big to the community, let me know, and I'll do my best to get them on. So.
Yeah, I will do. And again, thank you very much, Alan, for having me on. It's great just to talk to you, see you. And I mean, we've messaged a few times on Facebook.
Yes.
See you in the flesh. Hopefully, my plans right now are to go to the Michigan GT, where the North American Championship tournament was postponed from Adepticon there. Right now, is it going to happen?
Who knows?
I don't know. Is the border going to be open?
I'm a positive person. I'm actually
exactly
going to start making plans, and Michigan's a long ways, but hey, I've done crazier.
How long of a drive is it for you?
I have no idea. Probably Chicago's like 12 hours.
Okay,
so probably another 16. But I've driven it from here.
Exactly.
I've driven up to Chicago, other places. So hey, in the U.S. in the same way Canada, a good 2-day drive. That's nothing, right?
Oh, yeah, Northern Ontario, we're used to driving here. Chicago, luckily, Michigan for us, it was 9 hours. And
that's not bad.
13, so it's not bad. But no, so that's the plan right now. We'll see what happens if the government still says that the thing is a good reason for it. We'll follow it. But we'll hopefully see some people out there and catch up with all our old friends and meet some new ones.
Well, thanks again for your time, and we'll talk to you again in the future.
Yeah, no problem, Alan. Have a good one.
Thanks.